Flashback 9.1 The Curb, the Trip, and the Mark. Katie smiled and whispered close to Taylor's ear. Wah! She loved saying that. It made her feel part of the team and valued in the crowd. And it made her, importantly, feel the illusionary sense of being distanced and thus safe from the very real dangers that she was in, as she played the role of soldier. Taylor looked to Katie. Watch out for the curbs and ditches. It looks like they have no cemented or placed curbs on a lot of the roadsides here, especially near Graphene Labs building. Then she added, it looks like Graphene Labs is a new building, so they may not have finished the street side work yet. She chuckled and then cautioned, just don't fall in a curb ditch or off a steep sidewalk into a steep drop. A car might even hit you then. And likewise, don't trip ascending them. They are quite unusually tall. Katie looked a little annoyed at Deputy Taylor and snarked sarcastically at her. Yes, Mother, I will be very careful around the curbs. I will pay special attention to when I go up or down them. Taylor grinned and neutralized Katie's attitude with one word. She said in a very commanding and concluding voice, Good. Katie grinned herself. Hey, Deputy Taylor, she said, maybe I could, have an accident and trip or fall on that curb right when we see one of our targets, and then they will maybe want to give in and give me some help, and then I can have a conversation with them. It won't seem weird. Katie seemed quite satisfied with herself for coming up with this brilliant plan to gaslight the Graphene employee target, marks that she and Deputy Taylor had. All she had to do was feign a fall and injury, and thus require their assistance as passerbys, and their mark would be engaged. Taylor nodded. Yeah, that will work, but remember, wait for me before engaging or tripping or falling. Just signal me on your radio watch. I'll be right there in an instant. Then she added, and if I see one of them out the back or side doors, I'll see if I can put a tracker on their vehicle, and we'll find them later. Taylor headed off to her patrol and corner building vantage point. She found a good spot, out of view in some bushes, at a neighboring building. She was able to see both side and rear doors using her binoculars. And Katie purchased a hot dog, a paper bowl full of fries, and a big fountain drink. She headed over to the steep roadside curb and sat down with her legs above the unfinished ditch gutter. And she began to eat, very, very slowly. She would turn and look around whenever she heard voices or a Graphene Labs entry detector bleep. It proved quite useful to her. The company's audible entry buzzers. It was like an alarm to Katie, so she could stay focused. And when they bleeped, she could just look around and see if her target mark had emerged. The Graphene Labs front door bleeped as it opened so many times for someone to exit the building. Katie recognized, though this time, the tall, mildly muscular, dark, short, curly-haired man. She saw Shipping and Receiving's Mr. Eduard Dorato come out the front door. He was headed straight to the makeshift food court in the company's meeting paver stoned lot. Katie tapped her phone and said, Taylor, he's here. Eduard's here. I'm going to go get his attention, and I'm going to fall for him. Yeah, she was going to fall for him. Not in a romantic way, but in a very physical and pretend injury way. Katie stood up and turned towards the Graphene Labs building. Her foot seemed to get caught on the side of the curb, and she tripped. Her leg fell down into the drainage gutter ditch. and may have been sprained. She yelped in apparent pain. She was successful. Mr. Edouard Dorato of Graphene Labs Shipping and Receiving aborted his lunch plans right then. He dashed over to the damsel in distress to see if he could help her. He gasped, "Oh no, are you okay? Can I help you?" He leaned over to make sure Katie's foot and ankle were okay, and that her leg was not broken or bleeding. Being an act, though, there was very little actual damage to Katie. She did scrape her leg in the act, but it was nothing serious, and the abrasion lent some realism and believability to her performance. She answered the man, "It hurts. I think it's sprained. I'm not sure I can even walk on it. Could you help me? I hate to ask, but maybe you could let me lean on you some to walk somewhere so I could just sit down for a little bit, away from the street." Edward smiled wildly, loving the idea of helping this poor young woman that is in need. He loved being her rescuer. It made him feel heroic and manly. Edward leaned down and lifted Katie up and braced his arm around her, pulling her close to him, and they walked towards the side of the building together as if they were intimate friends or lovers. In some ways, Edward was showing that he had at least a modicum of chivalry within him, which made Katie's deception feel that much harder for her. Katie leaned into Edward, adding to his feelings of manliness and sexual reaction to this young and attractive woman being so close and touching him. Edward purchased a plate of fish and chips, and Katie and he left the food court lot together and sat down under a nearby tree. Katie resumed eating her lunch, and Edward began eating his own. Katie looked up at Edward, smiled seductively, and asked, "You were my hero back there. What's your name? Anyway, I'm Katie." "Katie," she paused. "Katie Devine." She restated, "I am Katie Devine. My friend is somewhere around here. She's Taylor Everest." Edward replied, "I am Edward. I work here in shipping. It is good job. What do? You have a foreign accent." Katie answered, "Oh, I'm a waitress from the United States. I am on vacation with my friend. I saw the food court and I wanted to get something to eat. I guess that I chose a bad place, though, to sit and eat. I'm glad you came along. You saved me," she smiled coyly. Katie was being a bit of a tease to Edward, hoping to spark an attraction to her in him. Katie stammered, "Since I'm not from around here and being hurt, I'm not going to be able to be the tourist about town like I planned. Maybe you could show me around. You know, have a real lunch, not this truck food court style lunch, and maybe we could have dinner or something later, tonight. I know it's a bit forward, but what else will I do? I mean, could you take some time off even? I know it's last minute, asking a lot." Edward glowed and excited and said, "Yes, that would be great. I will work out the time off. I just need to go inside, close some things out. Where should I meet you? Maybe an hour?" Katie replied, I could meet you here, right at this tree, where we are right now, by the food court." "Yes," agreed Edward. He was visibly thrilled that this attractive young woman had asked him out on a date. Awesome, he felt. For him, at least. At least that's what he thought.